Hey everybody, welcome back to the War Room. Today we are going to review this bad mamma jamma right here. I've got my beer because we have some explaining to do. I hope that my battery and my camera lasts. I think it will. But we do. We need to talk about this game. In order to do a proper review, we have to talk about the goods, the bads, and the uglies. Now, I'm not comparing this to the computer game. It's very easy to compare it to the computer game, but at the end of the day, it's not the computer game. The computer game gives you way more freedoms than any board game will. I'll compare it more to the 1993 version, which I also have possession of, so I have some knowledge of. All right, so let's get into it. What are the goods? The goods are in this game is that it is very solo friendly. It's a gigantic game. This is a very large game. Because of the fact that you may not get 2, 3, 4, 5, or even 6 people to play this game if you have the deluxe version, you may end up playing this by yourself. And it's solo friendly. The solo bots are very, very, very good. Thumbs up. The rules are a little bit different for the solo bots. So if you're used to playing solo and then you play with other people, you might forget a few rules or here and there because the bots do things just a little bit differently than the players, but not terribly, right? The pieces of the game are absolutely stunning. If you've got the deluxe version, you're going to have a lot of wood pieces that are beautifully made. They look beautiful, gorgeous. The standard version, from what I understand, there's not a lot of wooden pieces, but it still looks very good from what I know. Okay, they're both very, very good. The bad. Let's go over some bad, okay? I did a review of Europa Universalis, The Price of Power, in text on Board Game Geek when it was still on TTS. I got this copy kind of last minute as a gift for Christmas, which I'm so grateful for. Not a lot has changed from my thinkings and thoughts from my first review, but some things have changed now that I have it in my possession. It's a game that, and Callendale even said this about the original 93, and he even mentioned something about the new game. This game is a track. I'm not saying exactly like what he said it is, but it's a track, okay? You play one of the countries. You can mix and match some of the, the mission cards and what have you, but at the end of the day, you are a country on a track. If you're England, you're gonna go through the 100 Years' War. You're gonna go through the same events, through the same eras, the second eras, or ages, excuse me. You get the first, second, third age, fourth age. You're gonna go through these events over and over and over again. The randomness is when they happen, how they occur. If you set off the event, or if your buddies do in the game, it could change a little bit. But at the end of the day, if you play this as England 10 out of 10 times, you're getting kind of the same experience. Now, I'm not saying that makes it bad. I'm just saying it will change a little bit, just a little, but not a lot. I'll take a drink from my beer. I have about 20 games now under my belt. I have a solo game going on right now. I have the Mediterranean one. I can't remember. That's also going on. I got that tomorrow. I've played many games. I've played England on purpose many times. It's the same. Okay, you're going to go through the same English problems. The difference comes in as to when somebody takes your event, or if you take your event, or if they play cards. Wars could be changed because of, obviously you have military cards, military monarch powers, and things like that. But overall, it's the same. It's an experience. It's not, I don't want to call it a simulation. Well, I guess you could call it a simulation in a way. There are some things that change. There are some things that make it different, but not much. I'm sorry. It's just like EU93. EU93, same thing. You got certain events that are happening no matter what you do. Now, 93 was a lot more stricter. Certain events happen regardless. There were no cards. You had a list. Some events occurred regarding the year. It didn't matter. Your monarchs died according to the year. It didn't matter. At least here you have a little control over when they die, how they die, what events get played, and what have you. So you do have that bit of mobility in this game. The rule book. All right, the rule book. And Asia Games, don't hate me. I did not like the rule book. I still don't like the rule book. The rule book is very, very strange. It's not easy to understand. It's not an easily written and understandable book. Only because I don't think there's enough references, and I don't want, people argue with me on the Discord. You could put tons of references on a book. There's no excuse that you can't do it. All right, I'm playing a game from 1986, Second Fleet, and I have more references to the rules from an '86 Victory Games game, which it's not even a tenth of the size. And the rule book here, it just doesn't reference enough. You can't find the stuff as easy. I wish they would have put a player's aid for the HRE, everything HRE onto a card, because the HRE is so different. The rules are just a little changed, a little bit modified for them. It should have had its own card. Finding the rules for the HRE was all over the book. There were some sections where they were all there, but certain things, like when to roll a die for Imperial Authority and all that stuff, you would find it in other places. So it wasn't easily accessible. I have to argue that point. It wasn't easily accessible for rules. The player aids were very nice. They do help. They do have reference numbers there, but even there, some things weren't complete. So if I had a question about, let's say, an administrative rule, it will put me in the area, the general area of the administrative, but there's more in-depth stuff. Specifically, we're talking like relationships, like marriages and alliances and stuff. They aren't all in the same spot. Sometimes you have to kind of dig around a little bit to find it. And you will find it. It's not that they don't put all the rules in there. It's just not easily accessible. When you see monster games like Empire of the Sun, there's no excuse. Empire of the Sun is like 90 pages long because they reference literally everything. You could do that too with this as well. I think they could have redone that. But again, am I saying that you can't find what you're looking for in the rulebook? No. It's just one of the uglies in the game. The pieces are beautiful. The dice are beautiful. The wars can be a little random depending on what card you play, dice rolls, what have you. Depending on who plays your event cards, or if you do, you're kind of going through the same track. I covered that. But more importantly, too, is the fact that you could play this solo. EU93 was not soloable. It was very difficult to play. You have to be ready to do some serious record keeping. At least this game, it's good. You don't have to worry about it. You play it solo, and once you get the solo rules down, you're flying through the turns. It's actually quite easy. The bots, they have a direction. They kind of know what they want to do, even though it's random. It feels like they know what they want to do. You can kind of tell over time, okay, I know the HRE wants to do this. I know England wants to do that. France is going to do this. And you almost start knowing before the event occurs or what's drawn by looking at the bot power of the solo bots. You kind of know what they're going to do. The only thing that kind of makes the bots a little, I don't know how to put it. The only thing that makes the bots a little dry is the bot power. I mean, they run on bot power, but you can't attack this bot until that bot power is low. So you kind of know when they're weak, right? Whereas in the real game, you can kind of tell when someone's weak, but you don't know what cards they have. You don't know what they've got, right? So they can kind of play their hand well. So it's kind of a poker game with the real people playing, whereas bots, you kind of know what's happening. So I know when I can attack. In one of my games, I was able to take Portugal away from England. The bot took it. But it was because I was able to calculate his bot power, and I knew what he was going to do next. So yeah, it takes a little away. Nothing major. I wouldn't say it's major. This game is more of an experience game to me. It's not a war game. It's not a 4X game. I don't think it's a 4X game. It's just more of an experience. And it's a fun experience. And if you have a bunch of people that want to play a game like this, you'll have a really good time. I think it's better with people than with bots personally. But the bots allow it to be playable. So I got a big table here. I can play a full campaign game right now if I want to. Once I'm done with my other game, I got tons of games going on right now on my tables. But that's what I love about Europa Universalis. I think Asia Games took a very large convention-style game and made it accessible for one person, which is a huge feat. I think they did a great job on it. They took cues from the computer game. That's where you get your art from. That's where you get your inspiration from. But hailing from the old grandfather game, they made this into a much more accessible game for all. And that's impressive. You have to be impressed with things like that. So, good job, Asia Games. I do love this game. I do recommend this game, especially if you like HRE stuff and you like, the 1400s and trade, negotiation. This is definitely a good game to get. It is a beautiful game. You won't regret it. If you just set up on your table and left it there as a decoration, it's beautiful. Okay, not to be funny, but like seriously, it's a beautiful, gorgeous game. And I don't think you're gonna have any issues with it if you get it. It's just, will you get people to play it? I don't know. If you don't have a dedicated game group, like my game group is kind of separated. It's they're more war games and Ameritrash style. I will never get them to this table. But the fact that I know, like when winter comes and nobody's really doing anything, I can put this on my table. Excuse me. I can put this on my table and I'm good. I know I'm good. So, good job, Asia Games. I love my deluxe edition. It kind of was a miracle that I got it early. I wasn't a backer. I wasn't sure at the time. I did change my view a little bit from the old my Board Game Geek text review, but now that I have this, I think it's a really good game. I think if you really, if you have the table space, you have the time, if you're by yourself or you have a really dedicated crew, I think this game will be absolutely awesome for you. So I hope you guys love the review, and I will just talk to you guys next time.